Welcome to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Now here along with Dr. Bonati, your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Well, you're watching and listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our friend and executive radio producer, Ethan Euchre.
Always glad to be here.
Yes. Well, again, we have another exciting show.
Yes, we do.
And I'll get into who's on first this time, and then I'll give a little background.
Isn't that an Abbott and Costello bit, the who's on
is.
First?
What's in the outfield? I don't know. Something like that. Anyway, we digress. We have a jam-packed program. We have Dr. George King. He's going to be on talking about the diabetes reset, kind of reversing your risk for diabetes.
And it's sort of an epidemic in the U.S., so I think this will pertain to a lot of folks.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Dr. Keith Smith, and he's making headlines as an anti-Obamacare practice in Oklahoma using transparent pricing, which I think we need because seems to be some price gouging out there.
Yeah, and his business has been booming from what I've read since he started actually posting prices online, and sometimes they're a tenth of the cost of traditional hospitals. So that'll be a good topic as well.
Yes. And then, of course, we'll see what's new in American medicine today and discuss a little bit about stem cell therapy. But here's a little bit of background about the Bonati Spine Institute and Dr. Bonati. You know, he started off in invasive open spine surgery. And so people that have, you know, nearly half the patients that come to the Bonati Spine Institute have suffered with failed surgery somewhere else first. And some people say, you are a last resort. They were contemplating suicide, all these things. And it's really gut-wrenching when you hear it on this end and we see it pretty much on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day. And that's why it's so important to let you guys know about Dr. Bonati, because he started off in invasive surgery and he saw that it wasn't yielding good results. So that bothered him. That really got to his heart, and he set out and he developed his own methods and tools. And the methods we're speaking about, they're not just minimally invasive in general. They are the Bonati spine procedures, and nobody else does them except he and his highly trained medical doctors that work at the Bonati Spine Institute.
I think people don't understand that either. I mean, everyone has heard the term minimally invasive.
Right.
What they don't know is that Dr. Bonati
basically coined that term.
Yeah, that's his term. Yeah. So anytime you hear it, that goes all the way back to Dr. Bonati. There's even other fields, not necessarily spine surgery, that talk about, it's minimally invasive.
Correct.
That's Dr. Bonati that came up with that term and that technique.
Yeah, he was doing minimally invasive joint surgeries. He actually got out of open back surgery because he was that upset by the results. And all of a sudden, when he was doing those other joints, all of a sudden, boom, it all clicked. He developed the tool. He patented his tools and methods. Nobody else does them. So you only get Bonati at Bonati, and anyone else tells you, hey, I know this great minimally invasive surgery. Doesn't say Bonati, it's not the same.
It's an imitator.
It is.
We always say Bonati is often imitated, never replicated.
Yes.
Because they can't. They're not allowed to use his procedures because they're patented.
Exactly. And when they pretend, unfortunately, those people do make their way to us, but they're finally resolved of their pain. And we have a 98.75% patient-reported success rate.
That's pretty impressive.
It is, and you hear it straight from the patients week after week. Speaking of that, we're going to showcase.
In today's Back to Life segment, we will talk to a patient of the Bonati Spine Institute who went from living a life that was restricted by pain and discomfort through their journey of finding the Bonati Spine Institute and are now living pain-free.
Well, I want to welcome to the program William Johnson. He's a patient from the Bonati Spine Institute, and he's here to kind of tell us his story. So, William, with that said, why don't you tell us how your pain occurred?
Actually, just by doing stuff around the house.
Okay.
I was taking down the holiday decorations and putting them away in the attic, just like pretty much everybody does at the holiday season. And I had a little slip and fall accident getting off the ladder. I never really had any kind of back problems or injuries before, and I was surprised by what I was feeling. And I started feeling some sharp nerve pain going down the side of my leg on the left side and down the back of my leg on the right side. And it wasn't appearing to get any better. You know, I did like anybody. You know, I saw my primary care doctor after going to the ER. You know, I knew something wasn't right. And of course, they said, "Oh, just rest up." I don't know if they're just busy, whatever the case may be. "Oh, just get some rest. You'll be fine."
So they didn't really give you a diagnosis, William, is what?
No, nothing at all. Nothing really. Basically, it was, there's not really anything we can do for it back. You just need to rest up. I said, okay.
Unbelievable.
A couple days went by, couldn't be more than a week, and it wasn't really getting any better. I took a couple days off of work and tried to just heal up and rest up, stay off my feet, ice, things of that nature.
How did that work for you?
Wasn't feeling any better. So I went to my primary care doctor, and she referred that I, get checked out, get an MRI, and see if there was something going on that, we couldn't see or couldn't feel. I went to Bonati. I actually have a personal friend of mine he owns the company that I work for, who was a previous patient of Dr. Bonati.
Okay.
And also his mother is one of the clinical nurses at the Bonati Institute. And these are people that I've known for quite some time, and grown to know outside of work on a personal level, and I trust very much. And their only input was Bonati's the way to go. So I didn't waste any time. I went there as a new patient, and from the time I entered the door up until this very day, it was probably the best painful experience I've ever had, if that makes any sense.
Not really.
Anybody with a back injury, especially that kind of throbbing nerve pain that doesn't go away, whether you sit, stand, scream, or do jumping jacks, it just does not go away.
Well, why don't you back up for just a minute? When you talk about the things you were unable to do, what sort of tasks were you unable to do when you were in this tremendous amount of pain? And then how long did you suffer in that pain before you reached out to the Bonati Spine Institute?
It was a total of just about a month before I actually entered into the Bonati Institute.
Sure.
I just kept thinking that, okay, just time, we'll heal up, I'll go get checked out. It was a busy time at work.
Right.
I had a lot of things going on there, too. So just trying to maintain normal life and also try to, get some kind of help and figure out what was going on with me.
But when you say maintain a normal life, didn't you say that it was affecting all aspects of your life? So what were those things, your daily movements, tasks, things
activities
that you weren't able to do?
Everything. Sitting, standing, walking. I could barely stay on my feet for more than 2 minutes at a time. And once that pain set in, it just drives straight down the nerve. And then you get the numbness feeling, like if you sleep wrong or you sit wrong. And I actually felt like I was dragging around a dead leg. I knew it was there. The only thing I could feel was the pain of the nerve.
And how old are you?
Sitting, standing, bending, leaning, getting dressed, taking a shower, everything you do, it controls you. It takes over.
You're a pretty young man.
Yes.
Right? How old are you?
30 years old.
30,
wow.
yeah.
Wow, unbelievable.
So,
all right, so let's jump ahead.
Right.
It obviously was clearly affecting your day-to-day. It was unbearable. You got great referrals from coworkers and things like that. So when you first came to the Institute, how was that experience like?
Oh, it was wonderful. From the time I walked in, starting with Paul, who greets everyone at the door, everything in there, it's so well kept. I know the place has been there for a while because I've lived here for a dozen years or so, and it's been there as long as I've been living here. I've always drove by and seen the beautiful glass building.
Yep.
Everything in there is so well kept. It's so nice. Every chair is just so comfortable. You don't even want to get up once you sit down. And every person in there speaks to you.
Right.
Good morning. How you doing? Hey, how are you? They see their name tag. They call you by name. And it just step by step walked you through it. It's such an easy process to where, and anybody that's ever been into a crowded ER or to a hospital, sometimes, if it's the end of the day and some nurses and some staff, they're ready to go home, you start to feel like you're just a number or you're just a name, somebody they need to hurry up and see and get on their way. It's not like that there at all.
Yep.
They're all about you, and it could be 1,000 people a day. And after the first meeting, like I said with Paul, he knows your name from then on out. Every time he sees you, every time you walk by him, he speaks by name, and everyone treats you like that. From meeting Paul to going into the clinic to going up to the billing section, back to the OR, everyone. It's just like they believe so much in what they're doing and how happy they are with the results of helping people that they're just the most pleasant staff I have ever seen in any kind of office setting like that.
Why don't you explain what it was like in that evaluation process with Dr. Bonatti?
It was actually very simple, and he's very charismatic.
Yes, he is.
When he put my MRI up on the light board, it actually looked like my spine had a tongue hanging out.
Oh.
And everyone kind of looked, and he's like, "Oh, well, there's your problem. It doesn't take us." He said, "It doesn't take me or any other kind of doctor to figure out what's wrong there, huh?" And I said, "Well, no, it's pretty plain to see." He's like, "No, let me tell you where you hurt or you're hurting." And he did. He told me exactly what I felt, where I felt it, and why I felt it.
Without you having to say a word, just by looking at your MRI.
I didn't have to say anything. He took out a marker, started circling areas. He circled an area, and then he turned around and showed me exactly what I was feeling, where I was feeling it, and why. And then he'd show me the other areas. And I had 2 herniations and a bulge disc, along with spinal stenosis and degenerative disc disease.
Ouch.
So he broke it down, and it was quick. He knows what he's talking about, and he was upbeat. He was charismatic, and he very bluntly told me exactly what was wrong and that he was going to fix me, and I would be back to normal in no time as long as I trusted him.
Aw. Well, why don't you fast forward to surgery day? Did you watch?
Oh, yes.
Did
Yes,
you
I watched.
interact?
I was pretty interested to see what was going on.
Yeah, it's funny how some people are like, I would not want to watch that, and then you're
it's
kind of
fascinating.
like me. I would want to watch. It's very
Oh,
interesting.
yeah, you can't help it. It's, you can't help but watch. You see exactly what's going on, and it's step by step, and you hear Dr. Bonatti talking about what you're looking at. He conversates with you. That's one of the great things about what he's doing is keeping you to the point where you're still on the edge, and you can he can tell you what you're feeling with what he's doing, and you can relay information back to him, and you're watching it the entire time.
Yeah, that's the whole point there of the conscious IV sedation is that you're able to communicate back and forth with your surgeon, so you can actually
to the root.
get to the root of the pain
Absolutely.
and fix
Absolutely.
it. So, did you feel pain relief immediately, or was it shortly after, or when?
Oh, it was immediate. Immediately stepping off the table, we did the as far as my surgeries, I had the facets first, where they kind of laser burn the nerve in, so you don't feel as much of the lower back pain as you get ready to start going through the major procedures.
Okay.
And he went to the targeted area first, where the worst herniation was. And like I said, 2 minutes on my feet, and it was unbearable. Break out in a sweat, blood pressure through the roof. It just where you couldn't take it, and you have to sit down. You're forced to sit and regain some kind of composure. And I stood up off of that operating table and sat down into the bed when they put me in recovery, and I walked out of there that day.
You must have been pretty impressed by the immediate results then, right, William?
Oh, I was. And Dr. Bonatti came to recovery before I left, spoke with me, shook my hand, smiled, and said, "Told you I was going to take care of you." And he said, we laughed about it. We said, "We got a couple more rounds, and we'll be good to go." So I knew I had at least 2 more procedures from what we could see from the MRI. But he took care of the main issue first. And like I said, I walked out of there that day. And from then on, I was actually able to be on my feet without such pain that put me in a sitting position. My other areas were not as extensive, but still to the point where I had damage. And but I was able to get back to some normal functioning. And like I said, you feel it on the table. He can show you what you felt after he's done with just the touch and say, "This is what you felt before. Tell me what you feel now." And the answer is, I feel great.
Perfect.
You're not going to feel it. It's just that simple.
All right, William. Well, we're glad to hear that you're feeling wonderful these days and pain-free. I'm assuming you would feel comfortable and confident in recommending the Bonatti Spine Institute to other people who are experiencing pain like you were?
Oh, absolutely. My sister-in-law is getting ready to go through this, and she'll be down there within about a week or 2. I will tell everyone that has any kind of back issue to become a new patient of Dr. Bonatti, and it'll give them their life back.
Well, thank you very much. William, continued good health to you.
Thank you very much, and
Thank-
same to you guys.
Thanks,
Thank you
William.
for sharing your story.
Have a good day. All right.
See, I
Again and again, we
it touches your heart every time
It really
because it's not just one person that says these things. They're patient after patient after patient. So if you have heard from any other doctor that there's nothing else they can do, that your only option is getting slit down the front, slit down the back, and you have to go through invasive procedures, not the case. Ask for the Bonati spine procedures because they can help. You can reach out at 855-267-0483 or you can visit Bonati.com. Well, we'll have more interesting stuff coming up. After the break, we're going to speak with Dr. George King, the Diabetes Reset, seeing how we can, reset your risk of getting diabetes. Stay tuned. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now, I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
Welcome to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Now here along with Dr. Bonati, your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thank you for listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by my executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
Here as always.
And we have more exciting guests. Joining us on the line is Dr. George King, research director at Harvard's Joslin Diabetes Center and one of the nation's most sought-after experts on diabetes. His new book is called The Diabetes Reset. Thanks for joining us on American Medicine Today, Dr. King.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Well,
we've got quite the epidemic of diabetes in this country, and it seems to have just really exploded in the past, I would say, 10 to 20, 25 years. I mean, we all know people that have diabetes. Why do you think it is such an epidemic here in the United States, Dr. King?
No, you're absolutely right. It's really increased from 2 or 3% to 8 or 9% in this country, but it's not in this country. It's in Asia. It went from 1% to 10% in Europe as well. So I think certainly it's the environment, because the genes hasn't really changed that much over 20, 30 years. So a lot of environmental factors. For example, in the U.S., it definitely correlate with increased calorie consumptions and increasing weight. Mm-hmm. But in many other parts of the world, it may be other effects, as we mentioned. Sleeping is decreasing, use of antibiotics in the food, and pollution in the air, sedentary activity. And another one is also aging. Our population is aging. As you age, you have more chance of getting diabetes as well.
So, in other words, as we drive to and from work every day, we should really resist going to the different fast food chains. I would assume an increased weight is also one of the main factors for diabetes.
Yes, increasing weight certainly is will add to the risk, but I think it's important to know that depending on individual how much weight you could gain, then are you really increased risk for that? Also, as I pointed out, one of the point is that you don't have to lose that much weight to actually decrease your risk greatly. So we're just saying lose 5 to 10%, and then your risk decrease dramatically. Mm-hmm. So if someone's 200 pounds, if you just lose 10 to 15 pounds, that would help your diabetes a great deal, and that would actually reverse the risk of you getting the diabetes as well.
Here's something I wanted to ask you, because it's personal to me, Dr. King, is my wife and I were mid to late 30s. She's always had a candy obsession. She eats so much sugar, so much candy, and she doesn't think it's a big deal. And it started out jokingly years ago where I said, you're going to get diabetes one of these days. And now, as we're getting older, I worry about that. How much does sugar intake actually contribute to getting diabetes? Is that something I should be worried about?
Sure. I think the American consumption of sugar has increased a great deal. That contributes to the increase in calories. About, I think, 30 to 40% of increase in calories that Americans are taking are due to simple sugar. But you can actually have a carbohydrate intake in the complex carb point of view for vegetables and so forth. And when you eat those, it actually have a prevention and reverse the risk. So I think carb is not all bad. It depends on different type of carb. Complex carb is actually very good for you, because that also increase your fiber intake as well.
Now, in some of the information that was given to us as prep, it talks about activating your brown fat, and that all fat is not bad for you. I've never heard of a term called brown fat. So why don't you explain to listeners and the viewers exactly what that is?
Yeah, so that's one of the big discovery over the last 5 or 6 years, that we always knew that baby had brown fat. Okay. Brown fat is there to generate heat. So it burns up calorie and it generates heat for your body, and that's why baby, when you touch them, feel very warm. Unfortunately, as we age, the brown fat disappears or become deactivated. And the nice thing about brown fat, if you could activate it, you'll burn calorie, right? You don't even have to exercise. You just you'll burn up a few hundred calories a day, and if you don't eat that extra calorie, you actually will lose weight.
But how do you do that?
That's the whole idea. Yeah. So, but you can actually activate it, and the activation is actually in cold weather, like 62 degrees. So you'll activate your brown fat. That's why we suggest you do your exercise not in the hot room. A lot of people like to do that because you sweat. But if you exercise in a cold room, you actually burn out more calorie than when you exercise in a hot room, where you lose the fluid, but not so much calorie.
That's really interesting.
The good fat.
Yeah, well, so next time we're at the Institute and we're filming, Kimberly, and I'm complaining that it's hot and you're cold, I'm going to turn the air way down, and I'll just say, hey, Dr. King
62 or under,
says that we have to burn brown fat. So.
Well, what you're not aware of, Dr. King, is that in the studio, I guess we must be burning brown fat all the time.
You're always freezing, but I'm always sweating.
And you're talking about sleep here, 7 to 8 hours of high-quality sleep.
Yes, so that's proven very nicely. We study have taken young people and don't let them sleep for 24, 48 hours, and lo and behold, their blood chemical looks like they have diabetes. And as soon as you let them sleep, all returns to normal. And American also have decreasing amount of sleep over the last 20 years, and that's when the diabetes goes up. It's probably related to stress factors. When you don't allow to sleep, you actually increase a lot of stress hormone goes up, and that make your insulin don't work as well, and then that can lead to diabetes as well. So it's important to have 6 to 8 hours of sleep. But it looks like it's a huge shape. If you sleep too much, for some reason, also increase the risk of diabetes.
Ooh, I'd never heard that before.
Yeah. Well, Dr. King, we're just about out of time. What is the biggest takeaway from your book, The Diabetes Reset, that we can leave our listeners and viewers with?
Yeah, so I just want to say that there's a lot of things you can do. You could, a lot they actually can be very enjoyable things that you can do, which will help you control your diabetes, and they're very, very feasible, and shouldn't be that daunting to anyone.
Okay.
If they wanted to find out more, do you have a website that they can reach out to?
Well, yes, we have a website at Joslin Diabetes Center to look up some of these things I spoke about. Okay. In addition, you could buy the book on Amazon or all the other, book retailers. And the proceeds I want to mention actually goes to research at the Joslin Diabetes Center.
That's great. Proceeds from buying his book, The Diabetes Reset, actually will help diabetes research. Love it.
Love it.
All right. Dr. George King, Research Director at Harvard's Joslin Diabetes Center, and again, author of The Diabetes Reset. Thank you for joining us on American Medicine Today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Well, you're listening to American Medicine Today and watching. If you have any neck, back, or sciatic pain, you can reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute, 855-267-0483, or visit Bonati.com. After the break, you'll hear more about what's new in American medicine today. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Welcome to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonatti Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonatti spine procedures, Alfred Bonatti, MD. Now here along with Dr. Bonatti, your host, Kimberly Brummel.
Thank you for joining us for American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brummel, joined by my executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
Here as always.
Well, we're excited because we have Dr. Keith Smith. He's a board-certified anesthesiologist and co-founder of the Surgery Center for Oklahoma, which has made national headlines for his innovative approach to pricing, essentially becoming an anti-Obamacare practice. And their business is booming. So welcome to the program, Dr. Smith.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Now, your practice, Dr. Smith, has been labeled as sort of an anti-Obamacare practice, but you've been listing your prices online for quite a while, right? Does it go all the way back to 2006? That was pre-Obama, PO as I call it.
Yeah, we put our prices online, I think it's 6 years ago this coming April, whatever date that is. And we're not so much anti-Obamacare. That's just the latest in the string of crony attempts to make the big corporate players richer and line their pockets. Mm-hmm. We are dealing with patients directly and basically operating as if the government has no place in medicine, which we don't believe it does.
And it's pretty interesting what you do at the Surgery Center of Oklahoma. Now, explain to people what you do and why it's so innovative.
Well, Dr. Steve Vellante and I opened the facility in 1998 because we didn't like what we saw in the big hospitals where we were working. The prices were too high. The quality was beginning to sink. So we opened up a facility and thought we'd be fair in our pricing, and we would never take any money from the government and treat patients the way we'd want to be treated. Over time, it became clear that none of the insurance companies, none of the big corporate players liked what we were doing, and they retaliated in all their various ways. We finally decided, as big fans of the free market, we would put our money where our mouth was, and we would just take all the procedures on a list and assign prices to them and publish these online. We knew it was a radical move, but we really did not understand the extent to which it would have an effect, particularly on prices, not just in our area, but outside of here. We've started a price war where a lot of patients are using our prices who are not in the Oklahoma City area and leveraging better deals in their hometowns. We've had, the first patients that showed up after we put our prices online were Canadians, which is a great example that coverage doesn't mean care. I mean, just because you've got a insurance card in your wallet doesn't mean you have any access to care. And a lot of people on Medicaid and these folks with these new Obamacare cards are beginning to find that out the hard way. Yes. So we are unapologetic advocates of free market capitalism, believe the free market does apply to healthcare, and just like every other industry, it will cause quality to soar and trends pricing lower.
Now, don't certain people say, you get what you pay for? Because, the prices are so low, it's going to be bad results.
Like generic service.
Or, or prices are so high because doctors are greedy. Why don't you kind of get into that for our listeners?
Yeah, the get what you pay for argument in healthcare actually doesn't work because the free market has been so blunted. Mm-hmm. There is actually a relationship between price and quality in healthcare, but it's not what you would think. It's actually inverse.
Okay.
When you look at pricing in healthcare, you look at LASIK surgery, and you see, there's an area where insurance companies and the effective third parties on pricing is not present. Or you look at plastic surgery, and you see the quality going up and the prices going down over time. When you see high pricing in healthcare, that's just an indication that that the industry, the healthcare industry in an area that has high pricing is largely cartelized, and that there's not much competition. When you see lower prices in a market, that means there is some competition in the area, and people are, trying to gain the confidence and the business of the consumers. And wherever you have competition, you don't just have lower prices; you actually have better quality too.
That's true. Very true. What do you think, though, about... Well, Ethan, you look like you want to say something.
Well, I think that you just kind of need to explain to the general public why hospital prices are so high, and the fact that, this is a
lining their pockets.
Well, and that's the thing, and you sort of hit upon that, Kimberly, was, your average Joe Q public thinks, well, it's these greedy doctors and they just want to get rich, but that's really not the case. I mean, can you explain why hospital prices are so high versus what you do?
Yeah, it's always fun now. The people that always called, would look at me and, say, you greedy doctor. And that's more difficult now that they see the prices that we have online are a tenth of what the so-called not-for-profit hospital charges.
Yeah, I was going to ask you also, Dr. Smith, can you give us kind of a comparison of what, say, an elbow surgery would cost if they came to your place versus a traditional hospital?
I think there are elbow surgeries on our website that are right around the $4,000 or $3,800 range. Keep in mind that includes the surgeon, the anesthesia, and the facility charges. And it's not uncommon to see $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 bills at these so-called not-for-profit hospitals for the very same thing, and that's just for the facility. That doesn't even include the surgeon or the anesthesiologist. The vast majority of these giant, outrageous bills is due to the hospitals and the institutions. It's a very tiny portion of any healthcare expense or bill comes from the physicians. It's actually very low. Our facility is owned and controlled by the physicians who work here. And we're not trying to hit a grand slam on the facility. Right. We just want the physicians and the surgeons to be paid fairly for what they do. So when you look at our prices, which are anywhere from a sixth to a tenth of what the typical big box hospital charges, it's primarily because we're not trying to see what we can get away with. That's the way the healthcare economy works in the United States, is everybody tries to see what they can get away with rather than act as normal players in the marketplace and say, here's what I do and here is what I think it's worth, and then be judged by the marketplace. So, yeah, our prices are a tenth commonly of what the so-called folks that are not making a profit charge. I always joke that they have to charge 10 times what we do to not make a profit. Maybe they have some other issues they need to look at.
Why do you think so many people with Obamacare are flooding your office?
Well, the government never gets it right, and so this is the latest attempt. The Republicans have blood all over their hands with government intrusions into healthcare as well. But this is the latest attempt for a government takeover. But, fortunately, the ham-handed bureaucrats never get it right. So in an effort to line the pockets of their pals in the big insurance industry, they allowed all these huge deductibles and these huge premiums. So if you've got someone that has a $6,000 or $7,000 deductible, suddenly they're buying a lot of their health care out of their own wallet. And people who spend their own money tend to ask the same question. They want to know, how much is this going to be? And they want to know up front, and they want it guaranteed. And, suddenly we have these healthcare consumers in the marketplace. And that's very deflationary when a patient starts asking those questions, because the facility administrator or the physician who answers that question wrong, from the patient's perspective, they know that patient's going to walk out and go down the street, and it's very deflationary. It's very healthy. So we have a lot of our procedures online that are much less all, for the entire bill are much less than many of these Obamacare insurance policy deductibles.
Let me ask you something though, Dr. Smith. For the layperson, I'm looking at all this and I'm going, okay, well, this is good if you have a certain ailment, but is this preventative type medicine that you're offering too, or is this just, hey, I hurt my shoulder, I broke my wrist.
I need surgery.
Yeah, I need surgery.
Yeah, there are a lot of different types of treatment modalities that are embracing this free market, transparently priced concept. We are a surgery center. There are full-service hospitals that are doing this. Mm-hmm. There are heart hospitals. There are spine hospitals. There are primary care practices. They're frequently referred to as direct primary care, DPC practices.
Okay.
So there's primary care that is stepping into this space, the imaging facilities. It's in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City really is kind of the epicenter of where all this is getting started, but it's spreading all over the country. There's so many facilities and physicians embracing this, in fact, that we've started an association called the Free Market Medical Association, and that people can check out that website and see, who is a free market, transparently priced, honest individual who's trying not to see what they can get away with and overcharge me. Where is the nearest one to me?
Let me ask you one more question, though. I know these services are being offered. Would you say that they have some of the latest technologies that are out, so it's more innovative procedures that are being offered?
Yes. I mean, there's no cutting corners. The latest and greatest is, you can watch the video of our facility and it gives you a feel for what walking around the inside of our facility feels like. But yeah, I mean, if you deal directly with patients and you aren't dictated to by the big carriers, the big insurance carriers or the government, then you're free to, deal with patients and deal with, what it is that they need, not what some bureaucrat or insurance person tells you they can only have access to.
Yeah, agreed.
Very true.
And Dr. Smith, just kind of in closing here, I know as a consumer who, is often, I'll just suck up the pain rather than go spend astronomical amounts of money on things. I've broken ribs before, I broke a bone in my hand, and I really didn't even seek treatment, which is kind of stupid. But, if you don't have the money, and you can't really afford it, you have to make do. So I think that this is a very sort of revolutionary approach. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of copycats, and hopefully it'll help in the whole grand scheme of things.
We are very optimistic about healthcare, the future of healthcare in the United States, because the government has very paradoxically and unintentionally thrown gasoline on this free market fire. So people with these big deductibles are out shopping. And so there's the creation of a consumer marketplace like there used to be in healthcare, where people actually asked for and received a price up front for what things were going to cost. And I think it's a very exciting time, and it is also gratifying for me to see so many in the United States embracing our model.
All right. Well, Dr. Keith Smith, board-certified anesthesiologist, co-founder of the Surgery Center of Oklahoma. You can learn more at surgerycenterok.com. Dr. Keith Smith, thank you for joining us on American Medicine Today.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. Well, you're listening to American Medicine Today. If you or someone you know is suffering with neck, back, or sciatic pain, well, they can reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute. Always innovative and there to help. We'll help you regain your strength and get back in motion. 855-267-0483, or they can visit Bonati.com. Coming up after the break, you'll hear more on American Medicine Today.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now, I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
You're listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our executive radio producer, Ethan Euchre.
I am here.
And that gentleman over there, a world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute.
Hello. How you doing, Doc?
Well, this is our favorite segment. We are going to hear...
Let's look at what's new in medicine today, featuring Alfred Bonati, MD.
Well, sir, this time you wanted to speak about the promise of stem cell therapy. So why don't you go ahead and elaborate on that?
Well, it's an incredible field. This field started to be very attractive in the 1990s.
Okay.
And then suddenly, like everything in life, the initial idea was we are going to have cells that they are going to practically renew everything in your body.
Right.
And practically create a concept of rejuvenation on the individual. Well, the real truth is they have a lot of ethical and political type of problems that happens, how to harvest these cells and what cells they need to be harvested. The problem is, like everything in the beginning, that was the fountain of youth, is going to be in the future, but not yet. And for example, there are different types of stem cells. They are the stem cells of the adults. They are the stem cells of the embryos. And the embryos stem cells create a lot of political issues because they're starving. I mean, they were extracting from the embryos from the aborted fetus these cells. And that thought was an unethical type of an approach to harvest these cells.
And if I could interject for a quick second, Doc, I remember, back in the 90s being a teenager at the time and hearing about stem cells, and it just had such a negative connotation.
Right.
I didn't know anything about it. All I knew was that stem cells are bad, and that's kind of all you heard from the media, and a lot of it was because of a lot of these were coming from embryos that had been aborted. So and I totally get that. I understand the ethics of it all.
Right.
But there's also ways to get stem cells not from embryos, right? You can get them from...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you can have stem cells from the adults. You can have stem cells from fetus. You can have stem cells also the ones that they call pluripotential cells. Those are the ideal cells, are the cells that they are going to regenerate everything of your organs. Now, the concept is good, and there are right now probably 4,500 institutions in the United States that they are working very, very laborious on this, so they can give us some results. The idea is to try to treat specific type of problems. Recently, in around maybe 2-3 weeks ago, we have some type of stem cells recreation of hearts. You guys went and saw these results, and you have a heart of the size of my fingernail that they are beating, and they are practically created to analyze illnesses on the people so that we can treat those illnesses in the future.
Correct.
But that's a small heart.
Right.
But from there to a big heart is just only time.
Sure.
And lungs.
Yeah.
And also happening with lungs.
Over in Texas, in Galveston.
Over in Texas.
They're doing that.
So the things that are happening in different areas, are just specializing on this. This is a marvelous field, very, very new field, but is practically a field that is going to grow without stop. Right now, we have some type of cells that we're using. For example, the cells that they regenerate the bone marrow.
Yes.
And then if you have individuals that have leukemia or individuals that have blood cancers, the reconstitution of the bone marrow will regenerate now healthy cells and replace the cells that they are causing the demise of this individual.
Correct.
So we do have an incredible path. Now, where we go with this one will take time, will take a lot of resources. Universities are going to jump on this one very, very fast, and the research is going in the right direction. But till now, every research is practically private, is practically with private money, so it's limited.
Well, even a lot of the people that we've spoke to that are doing a lot of the stem cell research have been at universities or things that are getting private funding to conduct this research. So, but I also think, just to explain to people who might be listening who don't even know they've heard the term, a stem cell, a great analogy that I always heard was if you take a seed, right, and you can tell that seed to become anything you want, corn, tomatoes,
and
cucumbers. That's essentially what a stem cell is, except it's a cell in your body, and it can be programmed to become any part of the body, in theory.
Well, the ideal is that the body will be, if you, in your own description, will be the piece of land that you're going to seed, or put the seeds there. Well, what really you do in this is probably what's going to happen in the future, and that's why they are working very, very strong in that direction, in the pluripotential cells. So what they're going to do, they're going to inject. For example, if you have an Alzheimer's disease, they're going to put that injection in your brain. If you have a macular degeneration, they're going to put that thing in your eye. And those cells, because they're pluripotential, they are going to specialize on that area, imitate the cells on that area, and cure the disease. So we'll cure in the next century or so. We'll be able to get rid of Alzheimer's. We'll be able to get rid of aging. We'll be able to get rid of cancers, because those are going to replace, the cells are going to replace the sick cells with the healthy cells.
Well, I know I'm going to say something nasty here. That's only if we curtail Obamacare. That's a whole other subject, which I know you're very passionate about. But you are listening to American Medicine Today. We're excited. Not only do we stream live every week this radio program on WeBeamTV.com, we also post those things on our YouTube channel. We have a Twitter account, so if you feel like it, tweet at Dr. Bonati or hashtag American Medicine Today or hashtag AMT. You can look for us nationally on Bloomberg both Saturdays and Sundays, and check us out local here in Tampa on WFTS ABC 28, and we're also on iHeartMedia. Keyword Bonati or keyword spine. See you next week.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome has been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.